I've spoken a lot about plastics and tap water and the societal and global issues that these pose on this channel, yet I haven't finished, and I wanted to talk about something that personally affects me, as well as it may affect you, especially if you watch this kind of content. And the fact is, I still have plastics in my environment, as well as you probably do, and I still drink tap water, because the other option is dehydration, and for plastics, the other option is an incredibly inconvenienced life. Plastics are everywhere. They are hugely convenient, 10 times more convenient than metal or wood or fibers, natural fibers, any of the kind of stuff that you can find in the environment. And that's the issue, because they are toxic. I don't drink out of a plastic water bottle, so the BPA and stuff doesn't leach into the water. I don't use the polyunsaturated fatty acids, sunflower oil things that you use when you're like frying stuff. I don't drink milk anymore, so the sort of compressible sort of milk cartons, I don't drink those. That's mostly because I'm lactose intolerant, and if I drank milk, it just wouldn't end well for my gut. So that's kind of why I made that switch. But I try to avoid plastics as much as I feasibly can. Yet the chances are I'm not going to be able to avoid every single inch of plastics I can, especially at like a young age where I'm not making a full-time income just yet. Hopefully I will be in the future and I can sort of choose to avoid this kind of stuff. But especially as like a young person, you may sort of resonate with me and experience this as well. It's hard to avoid this stuff if you're not completely in control of your own life. I still drink tap water because the other option is dehydration. I'll drink out of a plastic water bottle if I don't have mine on me or it's empty and I am incredibly thirsty, it feels like I'm going to die. But I will still drink tap water because the other option is not drinking at all. And that I have to spend £2,000 of money, which I don't personally have on me at the minute, to get a water filter inputted into like my house water pipe system, so that it comes out, the water that comes in my tap doesn't contain things like disinfectants and hormones and way too many sort of heavy metal ions and all that sort of stuff. That's why I'd like to educate people about the issues that society faces. I like to educate people about these kind of issues, but while I don't necessarily sort of take all of the advice myself, I can't not drink tap water. It's worth you knowing as a human being that this stuff exists in your tap water. It's worth you knowing that disinfectants exist. It's worth knowing that fluoride exists especially if you're in the US, that fluoride is in your tap water. It affects your thyroid hormone, it affects your pineal gland and all that kind of stuff. It's worth you knowing this, even if I can't avoid it myself, because like no one else is talking about it, so someone's gonna have to. And if that person has to be me, and I can't yet avoid that myself just yet, I might as well. People have sort of told me and stuff that maybe that this stuff doesn't actually exist, the tap water issue isn't actually real, because I myself drink tap water, but that's because I have really no other option other than dehydration. I just want to make that completely clear. There are a few other things that I could do. I mean, there are a few other things that I can buy for like only 800 or so pounds, where you like fill up like a thing of tap water and it will end up filtering it out, and then you can sort of get your water out of that and it'll be nice and clean. But that's just an incredibly inconvenience thing. And even if I do buy that, which I do have the money for at the minute, the problem is that I'll still end up buying the water filter a few years down the line when I have the money for that. So it just doesn't seem like a sensible purchase for me right now. But realistically, while this stuff is having an impact on your health, it isn't as big as like things like sugar and you being fat and you not exercising and you not getting enough sleep. So obviously you need to kind of focus on that stuff first if you're starting off with self-improvement, as I am. I mean, I'm only like a year and a bit into self-improvement. I'm still focusing on perfecting these four before I can kind of make my income like stable and then be able to save up for these things, which I will spend my money on in the future. I will get the tap water filters. I will have a plastic-free life in the future, because I know all the stuff that it does to the body. Right now, not drinking tap water leaves me with no other option other than dehydration. So it's kind of like an annoying sort of opportunity cost thing. But yeah, that's for people that don't really understand where I'm coming from, what other people are coming from with things like saying, oh, I still drink tap water, so it might not actually be that bad and all that kind of stuff. It's just because I really have no other option. There is stuff in your tap water. Like, I'm not going to lie. There is stuff in your tap water. Studies have proved it. People like Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist at Stanford Medicine University, has said it. If you're in the US, which a lot of my viewers are because I look at the demographics, etc., a lot of you have really, really nasty stuff in your tap water. Hormones, disinfectants, which are estrogenic, fluoride. I'm pretty sure in Europe that fluoride isn't in the tap water, but apparently, like, I've had conversations with the family and apparently it is, so I'm really not sure where I went wrong on my research there. But things such as the disinfectants, the hormones, they do exist if you are in like a European environment. There's no doubt about it. Samples have been taken of tap water and it has shown that that stuff exists. And we know from other studies that that stuff has an effect on health in the cumulative compounding long-term effect. It's best that you get rid of them. It's ideal, it's optimal that you get rid of them. You need to focus, obviously, on just having a good lifestyle. If you smoke, if you vape, if you drink on the regular, any of these things on the regular, if you are sleep deprived, if you are fat, if you're an incredibly underweight person, like I used to be a year ago, getting a tap water filter will do absolutely nothing to benefit you on your journey because you are still missing out the foundations and the basics. I'm talking about this because personally it's quite scientific. I like it. Even though I am perfecting the foundations, the basics, I will definitely work on the sort of deeper side of health in the future. I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this. I hope you could sort of understand why I still drink tap water, why plastics are still in my life, even though I prefer it. It would be optimal if they weren't. And maybe you can kind of resonate with me and there's a bit of reassurance for you there that you may not have to just yet be so puritanical about this thing, especially if you don't have the resources to be so. It's better that you sort of focus on the basics, have like a sane life that's not incredibly inconvenienced. You still have good mental health. Maybe it's not optimal that your life contains those things, but it's better than you being like insane and not having enough time because you're being puritanical about this stuff. It's a fine balance. And I personally think I've got my balance right, but it's going to be different for everyone. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also highly recommend subscribing because I love this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already have, and good luck.